Our second speaker is Dr. Jan Garrard. Jan is a part-time senior lecturer in public health at Deakin University and a consultant in active transport. Her research and consulting work focuses on promoting active transport and making it safer. Jan will talk about the lessons we can learn from international best practice.
Thank you very much, Nick. And I guess my 7-minute time trial starts now, so I'll start pedalling as quickly as I can. Now, how do I move this? Oh. Stop the clock.
Yeah, okay, we'll stop the clock.
And it's, okay. And first of all, a brief reminder, and a very brief, of why we're here. And I usually show my turgid academic graphs and tables here. I've forgotten all that because Boris has said it beautifully. So I'll leave you to read what Boris Johnson, the Mayor of London, who's an absolute trailblazer in promoting cycling, has to say about the humble machine called the bicycle. Where are we in terms of reaping those multiple rewards? The answer is not very well on this distribution. I see us moving dramatically to the left, though our previous speaker saw us moving dramatically to the right. I'm sure that doesn't say anything about us. What this says is that establishing the conditions for safe and pleasant cycling is a public policy gift that keeps on giving in many, many different areas. Oh, I've gone the wrong way. The 4 top reasons why Australians who would like to don't cycle, and this is why we have the graph that you saw on the previous slide, and this is consistent across surveys after survey that we do: unsafe road conditions, speed, volume of traffic, don't feel safe, and lack of cycling infrastructure. So clearly, cycling prevalence and cycling safety are very closely interlinked. And the international guru of road safety, Fred Weckman, said it beautifully when he said road safety and health should be good neighbours. And not only health, but also transport, education, environment, planning. There are mutual benefits for all of those sectors to be interacting with each other. When we look at road safety policies that are developed in isolation, this is what we get. This is data across road user groups for improvement in road fatalities over the last 10 years, because we say, well, the proportion of cyclists and pedestrians killed on the road isn't that high, let's focus on car occupants. We focus our attention on car occupants, we get improvements for car occupants. We are not doing so well in terms of pedestrian and cyclist safety. And in terms of world's best practice, and we aspire to world's best practice when we look at our road fatality rate, and we're nudging world's best practice, but that's only for the overall road fatality rate. If we look at what's happening within the subgroups, including pedestrians and cyclists, we are not doing nearly so well. And that's just some data looking at injury based on exposure, which is kilometres travelled by bicycle. So, how do we achieve high rates of safe and pleasant walking and cycling, and what can international experience tell us? This is nothing new. You're probably all very familiar with this and say, Jan, get on with the next slide. It's probably important to just reiterate it. We need an extensive network of high-quality bike routes that provide good separation from motor vehicle traffic where appropriate. So depending on the volume and the speed of traffic, you have your different cycling infrastructure. Good management of interactions. We're not so good at that in Australia. We might paint a few bike lanes and a few bike routes, but what happens when you get to intersections? Sorry guys, you're on your own. So how do we manage those interactions when cyclists and motorists have to share public road space? Infrastructure is important, but it's not sufficient. We need what some people call soft infrastructure, and soft infrastructure is about things like speed limits. It's about where we put the responsibility for avoiding injuries with other road users. In the high cycling, high safety countries, the responsibility is squarely with the driver of the machine that has the ability to do the most harm. In Australia, we tend to say, well, you know, you got injured, you're a bit stupid going out on that road, you didn't let your child cycle to school, did you? We are totally putting the responsibility in the wrong place. It's called victim blaming. We've got to stop doing it. We've got to turn 180 degrees and look at where the harm comes from and how we can address that harm. Driver education. Interactions between cyclists and pedestrians and drivers in our driver education is poor. They don't have to answer very many questions on their licence. It's not emphasised. In Europe, it is emphasised very, very strongly. And just a little example here of the recent VicRoads review of speed limits. There was a tick and there was a not so tick. The tick was greater autonomy for local governments to introduce more 40 km/h zones. It's not quite 30, which is the prevalent speed limit in built-up areas in Europe, but it's getting there. The not so good is allowing local governments to increase speed limits from 50 to 60 on so-called collector roads so that motorists can get to the major arterial roads and the freeways a few seconds quicker. We are compromising the safety and the amenity of pedestrians and cyclists who use those collector roads. They're used by cyclists to ride on. They have to be crossed by pedestrians to get to the places they want to go to. Why would we lose that to enable cars to get to their freeway a few seconds quicker? In terms of overarching principles, and these are overarching because other people are going to look at the details, so I won't go into any of those. But safe mobility should be embedded within a range of public policy objectives, Fred Wegman again, particularly in urban planning. And just as an example, planning neighbourhoods so that trips up to about 5k, which are up to about 50% of the trips that households take in Melbourne, can be made safely and pleasantly by bicycle. And the most important part of this is the brackets: children, women and seniors. These are indicator species for a cycling-friendly environment. If you create the conditions where children, women and seniors are happy to come out on a bike, you're really getting somewhere. We need to more clearly distinguish between a flow function for motor vehicles and an access function. In Australia, we tend to think of every road, street and court as a flow function for cars. I'm going to get there as quick as I can. What's an access function? What does it mean for planning? What does it mean for transport? What does it mean for speed limits and the way that we do transport in those different areas? And this is just by way of a concluding comment. This appeared in the Lancet in 1932, and it was an editorial in response to a growing pedestrian injury rate in London as the roads became more vehicularised. And the comment there was, moreover, it was long ago held to be a common law nuisance to bring upon a road a machine likely to frighten horses of ordinary nerve and courage. And I'd just like to say that I look forward to the day when a cyclist of ordinary nerve and courage feels comfortable about travelling around in Australia's transportation network. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane.